Kevin Durant as a Detroit Piston. Is that a good idea? Let's talk about it right here together on Top Title Detroit. Let's go.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What's good? Welcome to Top Title Detroit. I am Eric Vincent, your host and Detroit Pistons beat reporter for ClutchPoints.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Help us grow the community, please. I would really appreciate the support. Tell a friend to lock in with us right here. We're getting closer to 300 subscribers on the channel. I would love to make that benchmark happen with your support. Thank you so much again. Appreciate y'all for being here. And we got to get into this story, man. We still in off-season mode, and Stephen A. Smith on First Take brought up a pretty intriguing idea that got Pistons Twitter going a little crazy. He was on First Take discussing the destination for Kevin Durant and where he will be next in his NBA career. Kevin Durant is turning 37 years old. He has wrapped up 2 seasons with the Phoenix Suns, and it's already been reported that he should be on the move to a new team as soon as this season. And Stephen A had 5 teams, did a little Stephen A list, or whatever it's called. He went over his top 5 teams of who he would like to see Kevin Durant team up with. Pretty interesting names that he had on there. Minnesota Timberwolves, the Houston Rockets, his New York Knicks, of course, the Miami Heat, and surprise, the Detroit Pistons. They were his number 4 option. The Pistons really don't get into these kind of conversations. You don't hear ESPN pundits talk about or mention the Pistons as a winning destination for a star to go to. So this was already crazy off the rip. So let's peel into it a little bit further. Would Kevin Durant coming to the Pistons be a good idea? On the surface, let's just be honest. Of course, it's a great idea. An all-time great like KD, automatic bucket, easy money sniper, one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. Of course, on paper, it sounds like a fantastic idea. You know, we know that KD has a good relationship with Cade Cunningham. Both Texas guys, both had a pretty good relationship when Cade was in college back at Oklahoma State. And they had a pretty good rivalry that's transcended and kind of translated to the NBA as well. Now, knowing that gives some intrigue to the idea being a possibility, because if anybody would kind of coach or maybe pitch that idea to him, you would imagine maybe it would be Cade. Maybe he would get on the phone with him. Maybe Trajan Langdon would run the idea by Cade. It kind of makes sense to me right there. But then you got to take a look a little bit further at who Kevin Durant is at this point in his career. Now, again, still a certified bucket, still a dangerous player in basketball at this point in the NBA. But you have to consider what it would take to give up for Kevin Durant. You are going to have to do basically what the Suns did and what the Nets did to acquire a star like Kevin Durant. You're going to have to take away a lot of your assets to make that happen. A lot of your future is going to have to go bye-bye to welcome in a star like Kevin Durant to the Detroit Pistons. Knowing what Trajan Langdon has talked about basically since last season, since this offseason, he has made it very clear they intend on being patient with their future. For me, I believe that's the right move. I think we have seen them succeed without a healthy 100% roster, without a Jaden Ivey, without Isaiah Stewart, who's their best defender in the playoffs. It makes sense that he would want to see all the way through what he has with the assets. Doesn't mean that he's not thinking of ideas of how to make this team better. We're seeing other reports that the Pistons may be looking at guys like Naz Reid or Miles Turner or Saldama from the Grizzlies. Like, there's a lot of names that make sense for who the Pistons could go after or at least be interested in. Kevin Durant in that conversation right now, I don't think makes a whole lot of sense. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense based on what you would have to give up to get him. Again, on the surface, it makes all the sense in the world to have a bucket. You need a bit of an upgrade at the stretch forward position. But knowing KD is getting a little bit older, He's been dealing with a lot of injuries during the later parts of his career. And to me, if you are going to take on a guy like Kevin Durant, it's going to come with a lot of risk that goes with it. Because again, as he gets older and as he's in a position where he's looking to basically win out as many championships and take advantage of his career window as soon as he possibly can, that kind of puts you at a stressful situation if you're a team like the Pistons. Looking at KD's contract, again, turning 37 in September, he has 1 year left on his contract. In 2025, 2026, he's supposed to make $54 million, and then he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So basically, what you're doing is gambling the potential 5 years of your assets with guys like Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland. Like all of these guys are going to be pitched off into these kind of conversations. Like you're not going to be able to finesse a deal with the Phoenix Suns. Yes, there was a report that they were willing to bring their asking price down for Kevin Durant. But if they know a team has assets, they're going to want to get those assets. They're not like KD's not making a bunch of rumblings and noise based on what we've seen on social media saying, get me out of here. I don't want to be a part of, the direction of the Suns anymore. He's not pulling a James Harden where he's out of camps in front of kids talking about Daryl Morey's a liar. I don't want to be here anymore. The Suns have lied to me and I don't want to be a part of what they're doing any further. He's not doing that. He's been relatively quiet. And knowing where the Suns are trying to get to, and again, they're not going to publicly admit that they're trying to get into rebuild mode, but they're making it pretty obvious if you get rid of somebody like Kevin Durant. Suns have wildly underachieved since he's been there. He made the playoffs his first year. I don't really think they did a whole lot after that. Missed the playoffs this past season. And again, dealt with a lot of up and down health issues as well. Devin Booker missed some time. Bradley Beal missed a lot of time. KD missed a lot of time. And they had to give up a lot of their depth in order to bring him in and keep that big three together, which hasn't really been a great idea because that's a lot of money into three guys that didn't get them to the expectation that they had, which was a championship. So if you are to basically bring that idea of thinking to the Detroit Pistons, who just made the playoffs for the first time since 2019, won a playoff game for the first time since 2008, you are taking a huge gamble to a point where you have to win immediately. You have to win as soon as this season. And again, to me, for the Pistons, whatever that big move is, because a lot of people talk about it on social media, a lot of people talk about it off social media, on TV, on the radio. Everybody wants to know when the Pistons are going to make that big splash move. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be that piece that they sacrifice some of their future for to kind of solidify their contending future as a franchise in the Eastern Conference? I don't know if Kevin Durant is that answer. Matter of fact, yes, I do. He's not. He's not, especially not on a 1 year contract, not on a 1 year deal. Again, you're blowing up your future to basically hope that 1 year, next year, is going to turn out way better than it was last season. Now, they got to the playoffs. They lost to the Knicks in the first round, gave them a great fight. Things could have maybe tipped in a different direction if maybe a few calls would have tipped in the right way they should have been. But they didn't. Unfortunately, they lost, didn't get out the first round, and now they're going to try to look and build from there. They're trying to find a way to get to that second round, find a way to the ECF, knowing that the Eastern Conference is going to get a little weaker, knowing that Boston is hurt. We've seen reports that Cleveland is looking to maybe trade some pieces like Darius Garland. Like, there's a lot of possibility for the Pistons to kind of move up. The New York Knicks just fired Tom Thibodeau. We don't know if anything else is going to change with their roster. There could be rumors of them maybe looking to shop around guys like Karl-Anthony Towns. A lot of things are going to shake up at the top of the Eastern Conference. And the Pistons could be one of those teams that sneak up and move up to with a little bit of improvement with experience and maybe some roster improvements as well. Again, I'm not of the idea that they should just run it back with the exact same roster they had last season. Even bringing back Jaden Ivey and having a healthy Isaiah Stewart, I still don't think it's a great idea to just bring back everybody that they had and just say, hey, let's just run it back on vibes and cohesion and everything's going to be just fine. I don't see that. I don't think that's the best idea for them. They should be able to fine tune and upgrade in some areas on their bench with their depth pieces, upgrade with the veterans that are, again, assisting and aiding the depth and the growth of their young foundation pieces. That's still going to be the number one goal. And you're expediting that quickly for a guy like Kevin Durant, who's basically going to be playing on a 1-year deal. That just sounds like a terrible idea. I don't like that at all. I don't imagine that he's going to want to stick around. KD been a bit of a journeyman who's just hopping around as a rolling stone, trying to ring chase and find his next opportunity to be a winner. And I don't know if the Pistons are really necessarily going to be that, because I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm just thinking of who they would potentially have to give up. Like if they have to give up Ivy, Duran, Asar, like any of those kind of guys, does that automatically make the Pistons a title contender out the East with Cade, Kevin Durant, and who knows who you have left at this point? Like, that's the big question right there. How much of your future are you going to have to give away? How many draft picks are you going to have to give up? How many players are you going to have to give up? And absorbing in that contract, hoping he stays healthy, hoping he stays happy, and hoping that everything lines up for the rest of the players as well. Like, everything has to work out. Cade has to remain healthy. KD has to stay on the floor. And I just think that's way too much of a gamble to take on a guy like Kevin Durant, who's, again, turning 37 years old in September. I would like to see them kind of go for a guy that's a star or has star potential, but is maybe just entering their prime or hasn't even tagged it yet. We talked about Trey Murphy in the last video. Somebody like that is somebody who I would be excited for, and I'll be intrigued and okay with them parting ways with some of their future, because a guy like Trey Murphy is going to be a part of your future. He's 24, 25 years old. So it makes sense to take away some of your older or some of your younger pieces and bring in another young piece as well. Somebody that hasn't turned 30 yet. Somebody like Derek White, who's capped out on basically who they are in their career. You don't give up your assets for guys who are basically peaked off on who they are. Now, again, Kevin Durant is fantastic, but I'm worried about what the return would be if, and what the expectation would be if you only have him on a 1-year deal here for the Pistons. I don't know if you will be happy enough to want to stay and want to retire in Detroit. Like, I can't see that as a part of his plans. And I don't think the team is ready-made enough to where even if you were to sacrifice and bring him in, that you would still or grow into a contender with his presence on the Detroit Pistons. I just don't see that. I don't see that working out for real. I see JB Bickerstaff doing a good job with the young talent around him. You know, again, they've emphasized patience. They've emphasized growing and taking the needed steps to make sure these young players are going in the right direction. And I think giving up on them now for a guy like Kevin Durant just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I just don't see that making a lot of sense. Again, I want to see them get active this offseason, but KD is not the answer, guys. I don't see that being the right choice for the Pistons. Talk to me in the comments, though. I would love to hear from you. Would you welcome a Detroit Piston trade for Kevin Durant? Knowing the circumstances, knowing what it would cost, would you be okay with KD in the 3-1-3? Talk to me in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Like the video. Again, subscribe to the channel. Send this video around to get that conversation going. It was a pretty good convo going on Twitter back and forth with a lot of people, and I would love to hear from you in the comments as well. Thank you again for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all. I might do a write-up on this on clutchpoints.com, so you can check out my work on there. Follow me on social media as well, at I am Eric Vincent. And of course, thank you for tuning in and being here on Top Title Detroit. I'll see you again soon. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your time. Peace.